Hello and welcome to But Why, a show where we talk to TTRPG creators and gamers and designers and all the other cool things. I am your host, Steve, also known as Sassy Pants. Today joined with Mike. Say hi, Mike.
Hey, yeah. Hello, I'm Mike. I use he, him pronouns, and you can find me various places on the internet at Run Like Craig. Actual play performer, funny little creator of weird NPCs for people when they don't even want them. But there you go. That's what I do.
Hell yeah.
Great to be here for a start. Let's just get that out of the way. Cool concept, Steve. Love the idea of the show. And we've got a cool guest today. So why don't you introduce him for everybody?
Yeah, today we are joined with our first guest. Drum roll, please. I don't know if you caught that on the mic or not, but our guest today is a solo game dev, creator of Cybertopia and Suddenly Giants, and of course, what we're here to talk about today, Overgrown TTRPG, or Overgrown 2E, I guess. Ben Newbon. Hello. Hi.
Hi, Steve. Hi, Mike. Hi, everybody else. Yeah. Hi. I am a game designer / writer. It's a side gig for me. My main job's in the video game industry, but this is more fun anyway. So yeah, I write and design my own TTRPGs and play them and host my own podcast using one of them. And yeah, I've been doing this for what, 5-6 years now? Not as long as some of the veterans in the space, but people come and go so quickly, it's hard to keep track anyway.
You're absolutely right. Also, I did not know about the IRL video game stuff, which is really cool. So you do video game stuff and you do TTRPG stuff. It's basically me, but more professional. That's how I see it, which is great.
Yeah, I've been in the video game industry for about 10-11 years now, I think. And I got laid off recently, so I'm technically not really in the industry at the moment, but that's my career job. That's the one that pays the bills, because this stuff's a lot of fun, but it's never going to pay the bills.
Yeah, you know what, Val? We have a saying in. Sorry, go ahead.
I was just saying, when we literally talk to our threes of audience members, they'll go out there, purchase the game, and you get rich.
Yeah, that's it, actually. Yeah. Everyone buy my game, and then I can drop my day job and do this full time. And then I'll probably hate this as well, because you don't never like your jobs, or you shouldn't do. A job is to pay the bills.
So true.
I couldn't put it better as someone who is trying to get a job in the TTRPG space. It is not great because it does feel like when you turn your hobby into your job, then you need another hobby, but then you want to turn that hobby into a job. So then you lose this hobby, and then it's just a cycle that repeats, and then it's like, where does it end? Anyway, enough sad, depressing talk. Tell us about your game. What inspired you to create Overgrown, and what inspired you? Actually, you know what? We're just going to go with that first one, because then it's going to be too long of a question. So, what was the inspiration behind Overgrown?
So, Overgrown was my second game that I designed, and my first game was Cybertopia, which is like a sci-fi cyberpunky kind of game. And my whole aim with my games has always been to make them as simple as possible, so that totally brand new people to RPGs and tabletop gaming in general can understand it, can get it, and pick it up within moments. So that's what I did with Cybertopia, and then I stripped Cybertopia back even further to make Overgrown. And the inspiration for Overgrown was from a friend of mine, Basilisk Online, on Twitter or Blue Sky or wherever they are now. They were running a game jam called Welcome to the Apocalypse. And I saw a whole bunch of people, really cool people, putting entries in for this Welcome to the Apocalypse game jam. And it was all like a human-centered kind of apocalypse, and I was thinking how cool it'd be if you removed humans from the apocalypse entirely, and it was like about a world where it's a post-human apocalypse. Like, humans didn't survive, but nature did. So what would that world look like? And it started off as just being like plants and nature having just completely taken over. And I still don't remember how I came up with the idea of hybrid animals, where that really came from. I think I was watching a lot of Avatar: The Last Airbender at the time, and there's a bunch of hybrid creatures in that, so maybe that like seeped into my brain at the time. So yeah, I took those ideas and just extrapolated from there what could possibly happen to the world if there were no humans left, and in like 1,000 years' time, everything is just jungles and forests and weird animals everywhere.
That is really cool. I feel like having Avatar as an inspiration is you can never go wrong with stuff like that. You know, it's one of those things that everyone it's inspired a generation of creators, not just game developers, but also animators and writers and all creatives in the field. So I feel like that's very good company to be part of. Firstly, I think that's really cool. Also, just thinking about like a post-apocalyptic future where humans are extinct makes me think of Timberborn, which is one of my favorite games right now. It is a game where it's a colony builder simulator where you control a bunch of beavers trying to rebuild civilization after an apocalypse. And
I don't know that game, but that sounds amazing, and I want to play it.
I don't really I really enjoy playing city builders, but I'm not very good at them. So for it's just fun for me to like fuck around with stuff and just see how different things work. So like something like names. Something like there's this big game which is supposed to be like I can't think of names, but like SimCity sequel, which is supposed to be like this big city builder. Anyway, I'll think of the name in a second. But that seems like too complicated. But something like Timberborn, where you get to control cute little beavers, which is like adorable. Like they make these weird noises, and they have like, you know, you need to build them homes and huts, and they do all of that stuff for you. So it just made me think of that, which is a really cool game. Free advertisement for them, by the way. Go check them out. So it feels like the whole vibe for this game was to very much be as simple as possible. So is this based on your experience with playing crunchy games? Do you enjoy more crunchy games, or do you prefer simple games? I know you mentioned that this is starting off for anyone can join in, but what is your personal preference in terms of games that you like to play?
I like the whole range. I started out with D&D, as most people do. I'm currently in a Lancer actual play, and I also love simpler stuff like Monster of the Week and Late in the Dark. I think the reason I went down the simple route when making my own game was because the way I started out was I was running D&D for my friends, having none of us ever played it before. And a bunch of them kind of bounced off of it because they were fed up of having to keep on looking rules up in the book or to like find their spell lists, and like the constant having to reference things and stuff was just a bit of a pain for, especially for people who have never done this sort of stuff. They weren't like avid listeners of Critical Role or other actual plays, so they didn't really know much about it all. So I wanted to give them something that they could enjoy without having the pressure of needing an experience in tabletop games. So yeah, I made it from the ground up, which is being, what is the simplest thing I can think of? Just roll a d20 and add a couple of numbers to it from your character sheet, and your character sheet maybe has like 3 or 4 things on it, and you grow from there. And everything about it is meant to be kind of narratively evolving. So when you have failures or when you get character development and that sort of stuff, everything that develops in your character is relevant to the things you're doing. Like if you succeed in your roles to climb trees, you become better at climbing trees, that sort of thing. I think in the back of my head when coming up with that idea was the Oblivion Elder Scrolls kind of system of character growth, where you become better at archery by doing a lot of archery. So if you do a lot of a specific thing, then the chances are you're going to get better at doing that specific thing.
Like life, basically.
You'd hope so, right?
Yeah, I really like the vibe for that. I think we don't really have a lot of TTRPGs that do that sort of thing, where you mentioned Blades in the Dark, or where you have downtime, where you can pick whatever activity you want to do, and you technically are practicing that activity to get better at it. But it's not narratively focused in the sense that you're actively doing the thing that helps you improve at the thing. And as a Skyrim fan, I think that is a really cool way to show how a character learns. I think a couple of other games also do this, but like the opposite, where when you fail a role, you get experience, which is also really cool. But I do feel like learning from your mistakes is fun, but learning from actually doing the thing is a lot more fun. Not everybody can be Tony Stark, right?
It's definitely a very different approach to things like D&D, where you've got like each time you level up, there is a specific set of things you can choose. And yeah, that can be really cool, because you can look at a set of things and be like, I am going to do this with my character, and this is my plan for them for the next 5 to 10 levels or whatever. But in this, it's just, you don't have to plan ahead. You don't have to think about what you're going to be doing. You just do it. And it's a very much a fiction first system, where you say, I want to jump across that canyon, and then you figure out if you've got animal features that will help you to do that, rather than looking at your sheet and being like, I can't do that because I'm not someone that carries a shield or something,
Yeah, absolutely. And I think like the hybrid animal concept, like, I love that it's so loosey-goosey. There's not hard and fast rules that you can only combo this with that. Like, it's up to you and how you flavor it, and what skills you take from those animals that you're kind of hybridized from. So like, yeah, just that it is unbound in terms of like the imagination that you can bring from it, and I think that's really cool.
It's really fun as well. Like, I often, when I'm doing the session zeros with people and I'm trying to help them figure out what their characters are going to be like, I have to remind them, like, in the book I have written, it does not have to make sense. You can have an elephant with butterfly wings and it can still fly, even though physically it shouldn't. Like, it doesn't have to make sense. It's fun. So just slap together your animal with whatever bits you want, and it will just make it work, because this is a game after all. It's imagination.
So cool.
So tell us about Overgrown 2E. What inspired? What was the intention behind updating the art and everything? Was it a conscious decision? Was it something that just came about because it felt like it's time for an update, or was it more of a conscious decision to be like, hey, we did this a while ago, and now it's time to show off how much we've grown as people and as creatives to build a second edition of this?
Honestly, if anything, it was kind of thrown upon me. I was almost forced into it. Like, I always thought about doing a second edition just to tidy it up and stuff, because the first time I'd pretty much done everything entirely myself, the layout, all of the internal art and everything. I did have a cover artist do the original cover, and it must be about 9 months ago, she just came to me out of the blue, because the first edition was about 3 or 4 years ago I released. And so Valentina, my cover artist, she came to me and was like, I want to redo the cover for you. And I was like, I mean, the first cover you did was amazing, but if you want to do another one, yeah, sure, like, go for it. And she just did an amazing, fantastic job. And I thought, well, okay, maybe I should get this ready for a proper print run, because I've never done a proper print run before. And I've got a friend who put themselves forward to be like, they've got a background in print work, and so they were like, oh, I hope you sort out the bleed and everything. And they started looking at it. My friend Catbat, amazing person, just out of the kindness of their heart, started looking at it, and then they got back to me like, I want to do a proofreading pass on this. I was like, okay. And then it became that he was doing my editing and then the layout and literally everything. And I was like, okay. Well, there was a couple of small changes I wanted to make. I wanted to change, like, I had a trauma system when you roll in that one. I wanted to change that into a mutation thing, so it's less psychological kind of penalties and more of a fun thing that melded into the system that already existed. So there was a few small mechanical changes and some wording changes and stuff. And then Catbat would be like, oh, we should change the wording on this. And I had so many edit notes, and I've never worked with an editor before. Like, as you said at the start, I'm a solo dev, so I'd pretty much done all this on my own. And then they were like, okay, we should rearrange stuff and have layouts slightly different. And so it was all kind of forced upon me. And I was like, happy to accept. And yeah, it has, like, reading through it, it's very similar to what 1E was, but just nicer and easier to read, and has lovely new cover art. Like, all of the other art internally is still the stuff that I made in Photoshop using royalty-free pictures from Pixabay mostly. So it's still the same game at heart, but just a tidied up, nicer version that now I've gone and got a print run done of, and I'm getting out in actual shops and stands at cons and stuff. And it does feel like it's got a new breath of life, you know?
Yeah, it looks incredible, like visually appealing. I was not around for the first run, but like I wasn't even part of the TTRPG sphere. But from looking at the cover art and looking at the way my friends are hyped about it, like one of my biggest gauges of like, do I enjoy things is one, my own personal, is this cool or not? But also the people that I surround myself with, do they also enjoy it or not? And to see nothing but good, glowing reviews from everyone I've talked to is really cool. I really like when people do things that they enjoy and they love, and it shows in the work that they do. That's I think,
that's really nice to hear, man. Like, I do love that thing where I meet someone that has not seen it before. And so I was down in London for a games meetup last weekend or so, and I got chatting to a tabletop person who I'd kind of known online, but they didn't know my work. And I happened to have a copy of the book in my bag, and I was like, oh, you want to see my game? And I showed them this, and you just see their eyes light up when they see this cover art, and they're like, oh my God, can I read it? And then they flick through and they see all my ridiculous art, and they're like, oh, look at that. Wow, it's an octopus with a mole face and stuff. Like, and it lights up people's imagination about what ridiculous stuff they can do in games, because most games do not include you playing as an animal, let alone a weird animal hybrid. Like, there's some really cute, cozy games out there, and some fun games like Humblewood and stuff. Really, really cool, cute settings and systems and stuff, but they don't give you quite the freedom that you get with Overgrown.
I think what I really enjoyed about the art inside, and like you say, you built from kind of free resources using Photoshop, is it like you can look at it and go, okay, cool, that's been put together, that's not AI smooth, like, and actually it means that anybody who has kind of a modicum of Photoshop skills, and once they play the game, can actually do the same thing and throw together what their character look like and stuff as well. So that's kind of quite exciting to me.
I love making them as well. They're so much fun. So I just ran a game online a couple of weeks. Actually, it was just early this week, and I always try to make character art for everyone that I do this stuff for online, and so I threw together this. It was for the Crit Talkers podcast, and that's a podcast, so no one's ever going to see these pictures apart from the players. But it's so much fun making them and putting them together, and I'll try and do it for any game that anyone comes up to me and is like, hey, can you do this for me? And I will always do it by hand. I don't want to use generative AI for anything ever, and I always do worry that someone's going to pick up my book and be like, oh, they made it with Midjourney or something. I'm like, no, I didn't. This was painstakingly done by hand. I found these pictures online, and oh man, there's a lot of pictures online to try and sift through, and you're trying to match up the poses so that it looks not too weird. Like, they always look a bit weird. They're always going to, but that's part of the charm of it. So, like, one of the characters in this game from the other day is a gorilla with kangaroo legs and a kangaroo tail and pouch. And we quickly realized that it looks really weird because kangaroo legs are surprisingly skinny. Gorilla legs are really thick. So do you want to have thick gorilla legs with big old kangaroo feet, or do you want to have a big old gorilla body with skinny kangaroo legs? We ended up going with the former, but these are the sorts of things you never think about when you're like, oh, what can I slap together? And then you look at it, you're like, no, that looks too weird.
It's cool.
But also, like, some of the combinations work so well. Like, one of the first ones I ever did was an elephant with eagle wings, and it looks amazing. And sometimes, like, some of the stuff you couldn't, like, you'd easily just glance at it and not realize, oh, there's something off about that. Like, that's not real. I think I did like a string of Avatar inspired ones, and one of them is a lizard crow. And so it's got these weird, like, lizardy feet and then the body of a crow. And you could quite easily just glance at that and not realize wait, no, that's not right.
So I had to double take at the squirrel with the moose antlers.
Oh, yeah.
That was very cool.
I like squirrels. Squirrels, like, especially flying squirrels, one of my favorite creatures. So there's a whole scenario that I've put into the book for a squirrel village. And I think I've got 4 different squirrel hybrids in that one.
I would just like to take a minute to appreciate the fact that you painstakingly did all of this stuff together, because especially with how, I don't want to say easy, but it is how easy it is to use AI generated art for all of this shit. And as someone who vehemently opposes AI slop, I really appreciate the fact that you took the time and the energy to do the work that has led to this looking so good. And also, I mean, I think that is also part of it, right? The reason it looks good is because you've done it yourself versus using AI to generate, I don't know, a tiger with a moose antlers or something. And I think that's,
I have never tried using a generative AI thing to try and make one of them, but I can't even imagine it working that well. Like, I'm sure you could get it to do something, but to get it to do the specific things that you want must be a pain in the ass. Like, it wouldn't be worth it, and it wouldn't feel right.
Yeah, no, it just with the ethical implications of it also, which is a conversation for a different day, because otherwise we'll devolve this into a
tangent time.
Yeah. It goes from TTRPGs to why I hate the world, which is not the point of today's podcast.
That's right. Let the animals and nature take over, and we don't have to worry about any of this technology crap.
Exactly. So
sounds appealing.
Yeah. So I'm Is the book the printed physical copy of the book, is it available for people to purchase around the world, or is it limited to Europe or the UK or specific locations for you? What is the current situation status of because of customs and how the world works?
Mm-hmm. So I don't currently have it on print on demand anywhere. I am looking into the options on that. I do have well, you can see just down here, those boxes down there have all of my copies that I've got printed. And if you drop me a message, I can post one out to you wherever you are in the world. We'll figure out the postage costs and if there's any customs. Most of the time there shouldn't be, but I know some places have been a bit fiddly with that sort of stuff. I've sent some out to the States already, and I've sent them around the UK. I've got some out to Europe as well. So I will do that for individuals if they come and approach me. It's available in a few stores across the UK. I just took some down to London with me when I went down there. And as I said, I've got some with some sellers at cons and stuff. I'll hopefully have some at Dragon Meet this year. So, yeah, not commercially available worldwide in stores yet.
That's fair.
But you can always just buy the digital copy if you want.
Yeah, I think that's one of the issues with indie publishing as well, where because of customs and everything, it just becomes so expensive. Like I know people who've paid more than the price of books for the customs, which feels like bullshit. So it's good to have the digital option available and to ship it as and when people ask for it. I think that's, especially with just how the world is right now. So the idea for the print run, I'm assuming for you it was more of, can I do this, versus an actual fulfillment option because of restrictions and shit. Is that correct?
No, exactly. Yeah, I always I did get some prints done of the first edition, and I was happy with them, but I never tried to get them in shops or anything, and I never did a large run. I don't think I really knew much about the whole print process, and I didn't think that I'd be able to get it in shops and stuff, but that was years ago. And since making so much more contacts and getting further involved in the tabletop community online and stuff, I've managed to find out ways of doing it and who the people are to contact to get it in some shops and stuff. So it's definitely been a learning process over the years, and so much has changed. I mean, Steve, you've only been in the scene a few years. I've only been in it a few years myself, so it moves along so quickly. And like we were talking about generative AI, that wasn't even a thing when I started doing this book. That didn't really exist, and so everything is changing all the time around all of this stuff,
I mean, I think change is for the most part really good, right? I mean, we can push AI to one side and go,
yeah.
But I think, yeah, I mean, I started playing tabletop roleplay games back in the early to mid 90s, because I'm old, obviously. And had a hiatus from that, came back during the pandemic, called a questing time stream, was like, oh, fucking hell. People are playing D&D on streams and people are watching it. Got back into, and just the leaps and bounds that had taken place within the game of D&D itself. Now, it's still got a way to go. I think we can all kind of acknowledge that. But if a founded institution, TTRPG like D&D, can progress and change and accept change, then there's no reason why we can't all do that, in my opinion. So yeah, I think just the amount of games that I've discovered that are out there outside of that D&D bubble now, I'm just overwhelmed by.
I think that's the big thing that's changed with the scene as well. Just the breadth and depth of it all. There are so many games out there, and good ones that are getting a lot of notice and stuff. We've got Draw Still and Daggerheart and everything coming out, and then there's just a plethora of indie games, and that's my favorite thing about this scene. Especially whenever I go to a con, I'm always signing up for as many indie games as I can, or games I've not heard of or not played before. And I know so many people from the indie TTRPG scene now, from being in these communities, that there's always someone that I know that I'm oh, I want to play your new game, and they're always happy to run a game for you and test their new ideas and stuff. And you find such wacky new things out there, and stuff that I'm starting to bump into people who have been inspired by my games, and they're running similar stuff that I'm oh, I love your take on this. It's clearly similarities there, but this is a great new take. And I know some people might get upset that, oh no, you're using my ideas, but no, I love it.
Yeah, absolutely. I think, I mean, I've run games of all sorts, and there's only so much you can come up with in your brain without drawing on inspiration from other people. So, I think we need to embrace people not stealing ideas, but kind of seeing them as creative inspiration.
Yeah. And it's one of the things I write into the Overgrown book, because when I first started writing it, I had a very specific kind of post-human setting in mind. And in 2E, I've kind of rode back on that quite a bit and been it doesn't need to be a specific thing. I've got some setting ideas and example scenarios you can use in the back of the book, but you could put this into anything. You could have it as part of your D&D game where suddenly your characters get turned into weird animals, or you find some little community of weird hybrids. Or you could have it in your sci-fi game. I've run games where we've set it on a spaceship. I've done ones where it's been a zoo in the Chernobyl area when that all happens. I've done stuff in a cyberpunk kind of setting. So yeah, use my ideas, whatever parts of them you like, tear them apart, use them in your own games, in your own settings, and just have fun with it. That's all I ask.
Yeah, I think that's what I also really like about just the industry, or like, not, I hate saying the word industry, but I use it so much. But like the TTRPG indie sphere as a whole, I think there is so much talent and so much inspiration to pick up from people. Like I have conversations randomly in a VC, just chilling. That gives me inspiration to do 5 other things that I have been procrastinating on, or just to get the idea of how to move this particular set piece forward, something that I couldn't think of before. Just having a conversation with people, and I think that's really cool. Where, because there's so many talented people in the space that you can learn from each other, and also inspire each other in a way that just really just makes the space feel really incredible, and just cool, chill vibes is the thing. Which brings me back to...
It is a bit of a double-edged sword, though, right? Because you're just constantly getting inspiration and getting new ideas, and you're like, I don't have the time or energy for all of this stuff, but I want to do all the things.
Yes, 100%. There is. I feel like there's just not enough hours in a day or even in a week to do the things that I want to do. Yeah. This does bring me back to a thing that you mentioned earlier, which was you wouldn't have done Overgrown 2E if you hadn't been pushed by the people that you're working with, which I feel like is something that I relate with so much, because there are so many things that I've done in the last 6 months to a year that I would not have done if people around me had not been like, you have to fucking do this now, do this. And this is the thing that you have to do. And as much as I resented it in the moment, looking back on it, it's like the space has grown so much. I have grown so much as a person, and we've grown this community so much because of being pushed by people around me who only have your best what's the word, only have best intentions for you in their minds, right? And I think that's something that you like. I have not experienced a lot in my life, so to see people actively talk about it, and to be part of that thing where it's like, oh hey, these people actually care about me and the things that I do, and it's not because they are making money from it, but because they genuinely care. And that's the, I think, the crux of TTRPG indie stuff, especially. Yeah, I think that's really cool.
I prefer to use the word scene rather than in industry, because industry kind of brings to mind the big corpos, the Whatsies and whatnot. So yeah, I don't know if it's just something about the particular communities that we've managed to find ourselves in and managed to curate around ourselves, because you often hear horror stories from outside of our spaces. And I've never come into any problems with anybody that I've been involved with, but like the collaborative nature and the excitement you get from people, everyone just wants to help everyone. Like, so I've been running my podcast Cybertopia for 3 years now, and it doesn't have a huge fan base or anything. We don't get a huge audience, but there's a whole collaborative nature around the podcasting scene for actual plays of everyone wants to help each other out. And so we're always constantly doing ad swaps and promo deals and stuff. And nobody ever asks for anything in return. I've, in this last season, this year of Cybertopia, been getting voice actors from across the community to do voiceovers for all of my NPCs. And everybody, without fail, has always said yes. Anytime I've asked them, anytime I've approached anybody, anytime I need a new NPC, I've gone just done a shout out and been like, hey, can anyone do this for me? And Steve, you came and did a voice for me a little while ago as well. And at some point I'll want to have you come back and do that character again. But like, I've had so many people just come to me and be like excited to be involved. and they don't ask for anything in return. I'm always happy to do a promo shout out for them and help them in any way I can. But everyone is just excited to be helping out.
Yeah, I think the character that you gave me was like it was made for me. Just the amount of swearing and the amount of just cluelessness. It was like this is me in a game. How cool is that?
I love my grumpy NPCs, man.
Right. But which brings me to my next question, which was, so you've been doing Cybertopia for a while. Can we expect a version of Overgrown as an AP in the context of Cybertopia, in that long term, something that you've considered?
Yes. I've been considering this for a long time. I'd love to do a Cybertopia actual play series. I've done a lot of one shots and appearances on shows and streams with it, but hopefully I've put a pitch for it for next year with the Euphoria group to have a string of connected kind of one shots of Overgrown. We'll see if that ends up happening. I think it's a system that lends itself better to one shots rather than like 12-part campaign or more. One of the core things about Overgrown is that every time you roll a nat 20, you get a new animal part. And DICE seem to know with this system that is important, because I get so many nat 20s in this game. It's ridiculous. So people will end up in one session getting 7 new animal parts, and they're a completely different creature to what they started with. And if you did that over the course of like 5-6 sessions, the number of parts that anybody would have would be ridiculous, and all the rolls would be completely wild. And that could be a lot of fun, but I think it would be quite difficult to manage as a game runner in the longer term.
I mean, that's something that Steve and I know very well. So I on Pantsless tables, I'm running a 10 Candles anthology series. So it's standalone one shots that all take place at the same part of the world, so interconnected, same issue. And I think there is something about like short stories that are woven together that really appeals to me. So that was why I was really keen to do it, and it sounds like it would work for Overgrown too in that kind of format. So look forward to that.
And I think that's kind of a similar way to how I ran Cybertopia as a podcast from the start as well, because it was like an ongoing kind of story arc, but I had a different group each session. So you wouldn't have the same group that is continuously leveling up. You'd have a different group, and there'd be some interactions and some nods between the stories and stuff, but they were more like connected one shots than an ongoing campaign. And I think that's also a lot easier to manage in this sort of sense as well. So hopefully the thing with Euphoria works out, and it would be great to each time be able to have a different group of people. And I love getting to interact and play with all sorts of different people. So if I can have a run of loads of different people that are coming to play my game, that's always good fun.
Sign me up.
Yeah, same. I really do enjoy the vibe of, I think there's something that I've been wanting to do since I started doing this stuff is either tell like an anthology series like we're doing with 10 Candles, where it's like different stories interconnected in the same world, or something that is like the same story across 4-5 different channels. Every week you have to go to a different channel to watch the story continue. And that's something that I've pitched multiple times, but it just hasn't happened because coordinating 5 different time zones or schedules is the biggest pain in the ass, because not everybody will want to stream it at the same time. And then if it's a series, people would expect to see it at the same time, but you can't really do it that way. And it turns into like a whole thing of like, how do we best represent every channel possible in 5 episodes? And then there's like a whole list of things that are why it will not work. But the nature of stubbornness.
That sounds awesome. If you could get it to work out, that's awesome.
Yeah, but also like the stubbornness that is inbuilt in the Steve is that I will make it work somehow before I'm done with this space, or before this space is done with me. I will make it work.
Nice, get it done.
Fast forward 10 years, Steve is actually has created and is running 5 different channels just to be able to facilitate this.
The Steve online universe.
I'm not surprised if I actually pull that off. It is within the realm of possibility of the absolute shenanigans that I will do just out of spite. Anyway, that
Here
again,
comes
not the point.
Pantsless World, Pantsless Con. We're going down the whole gamut.
Pantsless Con hopefully happening 2026, but no promises yet. So the most important question of this entire interview so far: if you could be an animal in the overgrown world, a hybrid, what would you be? What would be your number one preference? No limit on how many animals you want to go. Just go wild.
I said earlier my favorite animal is the flying squirrel, so that would probably be my base. Spikes is always a fun one. Hedgehog spikes or porcupine spikes, good fun. Anything with tentacles is always instantly just absolutely cursed. So I think I prefer jellyfish tendrils to the octopus tentacles, because you just get so many of them. They're like stringy and like can be stingy and poisonous and stuff. That's cool. I did in the game I ran the other day. There was a creature that had the cuttlefish kind of patterns. Cuttlefish have this weird pattern to them that like changes, and it's somewhat like kind of hypnotic. If you've never seen that, look up like cuttlefish patterns. They're weird. Anything with like toxins or like weird pheromones that like it's not a visual thing, but it can affect things. That's always a fun thing to have. There's always like there's a whole bunch of things that are very kind of the obvious things that you might want to add to a creature in a game kind of world. So people would like to have armadillo shell or pangolin shell. That's a popular one because it's armor. Rhino horns, moose antlers, great for like a damage focused creature. Speedy legs. I once had someone make a giant tortoise for the shell, of course, but with cheetah legs, which is an incredible thought. So yeah, there's some amazing combinations you can come up with out there.
What about you, Steve? What would you go for?
So I think for me, the base has to be a bear, simply because I describe myself as built like a bear. So I feel like
are we talking grizzly bear?
Yeah. I think it would have to be like a polar bear, simply because just the vibes, just the and it would be like a like the what's the word? What is that thing where you have white patches of skin? It's like a skin condition. What is it called?
Like
I can't think of the word.
Bear.
Yes, that. Yeah. So instead of like a white bear, it would be like a brown bear, but a polar bear. That's the vibe that I'm going for, right? So because I think that's really funny, and just the idea of a brown polar bear. That's what I think is very funny. Just that's hilarious. And the vibe, like for me, I also am not a very confrontational person, so it would have the ability to spray squid ink from its mouth, or I would have the ability to distract and run away. That's what I'm going for.
Squid ink's a good choice.
Yeah, and inspired by your speedy running thing, I would have. We're going into slightly fictional stuff, but Roadrunner legs from the Looney Tunes Roadrunner specifically.
Oh,
right.
Yep, I get you.
So that would be the vibe, and if I can, dragon spikes on the back.
Nice.
Now that is even more fictional, but I'm sure there are animals that have spikes as well, so we can pick that instead.
It's funny. Like in the book, I originally had written like use only real animals, and in 2E I was like, no, we don't need that restriction. Use whatever you like. And so yeah, there's Basilisk Online. Actually, the person who had that original game jam that I got the idea from made me a character generator where you can just click a button and it will give you a bunch of animals, and they put in a option to have dinosaurs. So yeah, I am longing at some point to play a dinosaur version of Overgrown. I had someone in the last game, they added a ankylosaurus tail to their creature as one of their evolutions as they rolled a nat 20. And that's great fun, but I want to like go full dinosaurs. The thing is, you start looking at dinosaurs and you realize how many dinosaurs are out there. Like my son is obsessed with dinosaurs, so I've learned quite a lot about dinosaurs since he was born. But when you go looking at the actual list, I suppose dinosaurs were around for millions of years, right? So there are so many dinosaurs that you would never even heard of, and the such a variety in all of them as well. It's there's a lot there.
Yeah, I love that. What about you, Mike?
T-Rex with long arms. So I was thinking, like, I have to choose something quintessentially British, and through my brain was going, oh, you know, fox, rabbit, hare, that kind of thing. You know, common toad. So I'm going common toad with spider's legs, just to creep people out. No one's a toad with spider's legs. Probably some bat wings, I was thinking. Nice. So just like, and the ability of a pufferfish to inflate.
Oh my god, this is so cursed. I love it.
It's like a woobat. I love it.
You know I go cursed. I always go cursed when given the option. So yeah, and obviously bat wings, fly up in the air, pufferfish, float along to safety.
I like it. That sounds cool.
That's if someone asked me to be like, who is Mike to you? I will show them this clip. That's
yeah. Yeah, I think that's it sums me up really. So there you go. You can actually create accurate representations of yourself in Overgrown.
Something I love doing actually is creating mythical creatures out of the real creatures. So in the book, there was a I think when I was playtesting, the second playtest, someone wanted to be a dragon, but they wanted to make it out of other animal parts. So I think they used the base of an actual Komodo dragon, and then they had the bat wings, and I think they did a snake tongue, and there's no creatures that actually breathe fire, but there's a bombardier beetle sprays like acid or something out of its mouth. So they had that, and like, yeah, you can make all these things. I mean, obviously there's stuff like a unicorn, easy to make. You have a horse and a rhino horn or a narwhal horn or whatever. But yeah, trying to do some kind of mythological kind of stuff with what we have already out there. Really good fun.
And there's loads of examples of hybrid creatures in
mythology. Oh god,
as
fucking
well.
platypuses, man! Like, they're ridiculous. Every time I found out anything new about a platypus, like, it's another more ridiculous thing where I'm like, okay, well, platypuses are just the epitome of Overgrown.
Yeah,
and they're fucking real.
It's like manatees and mermaids, right? Mm-hmm. So much shit.
So
I mean, one thing about Overgrown though is because it is all animals, you do have to be a bit careful when you're playing. Like, I advise in the book, and to anyone that's listening, make sure you do a session 0 and find out if anybody has any animal phobias, because it is very easy to accidentally slip in, oh yeah, there's spiders in this. Oh, sorry, you've got arachnophobia or whatever. Like, there is a lot of that sort of stuff that you got to be careful of.
I think, like, on that front as well, talking about like safety tools and things like, what I actually like that built into the system, if people have an issue with kind of harm to animals and stuff, the creatures don't die when in combat. I noticed you just fall unconscious and are then revived at a later point. So I think that in itself is a really nice touch that means you don't have to deal with that potential content issue.
It can also be played non-violently. I've got a video on the itch page of me playing a session with the Roll for Good people. That must be about 4 years ago now. But yeah, we did an entirely non-violent session, and it is easy enough to do that. There's people who are playing with their like 4-year-old kids. TTRPG Kids did a really nice review where she played it with her son, and that was really really cute and nice. I played it with my kids who are 4 and 6, and they loved it. And like, it doesn't have to be all like blood and gore and stuff. It can be, and if you want to have it be like permadeath kind of situation, you can do that in your game if you want. But yeah, you can deal with this however you like, and it is still fun to play without any combat.
I think I like that more whimsical vibe of the game. It kind of like gives me Wander Home vibes in that sense, where you don't have to be violent and you don't have to fight to get your point across, or to get a conversation going, or to just complete your mission. It's not everything is about I'm going to use a sword and I'm going to cast fireball. Sometimes it's just about the stories that we tell, and like the conversations and connections we have with people. And I think that's really beautiful in a way, where it's like, especially with how violent the world is today, just to have that sort of escape is really cool. And I love that.
You can still have conflict, right? You can still have conflict in your game without having combat. So
yeah, I mean, there's been a lot of talk in the last year or so in the scene around cozy games and like Studio Ghibli kind of inspired games and that sort of thing. I've seen some people, like I think it was Roll8 did a stream of it last Christmas time, and they had a non-violent Overgrown stream that was just lovely. And yeah, I'd probably consider that as cozy. It was just a nice little village adventure, and you can do that with this game, and it's easy, and you can still have all of the things that you might put on your creature be relevant to whatever you want to do. And I say in the rules, look, it doesn't have to, you don't have, when you're creating your creature, you don't have to specify this is what this can do. If you're playing and you realize, oh, I could use my prehensile tail to do this specific thing, you can just say that. That's the beauty of narrative first, fiction first games.
Yeah, I think that's really cool, and I love the vibes for that. So we've talked about Overgrown, we've talked about Cybertopia, we've talked about your inspirations and how you got into TTRPGs. I think that the next obvious question is, what's next for Ben?
So two things. I want to do a second edition of Cybertopia. Like I said, that was my first game, and it has a lot of unnecessary parts to it that I have actually never used in my own running of the game or the podcast myself, that I'd love to strip back. That was when I was very early in my artistic abilities, and the art is terrible. The cover art's quite nice because I got someone else to do that, but the internal art, awful. So Catbat is actually looking at that right now, and hopefully there'll be a second edition of Cybertopia sometime next year. But what I most want to do is an SRD. It's such a simple system that is easily adaptable to anything. And one of my Cybertopia podcast players, Valerie North, has been working on a few different versions of the rule set, and they've been sharing that with me, and we've been talking about that. So I want to make an official SRD that anybody could take and play with it and make their own versions of it. I want to see superhero games. I want to see fantasy magical kind of games. Valerie actually made some sort of communist version of Cybertopia, which is such a cool idea. So there's so much you can do with it, and it's so easily adaptable. I want to see that all over the place, and I want to make it easy for people to be able to do it, how to build their own versions.
Sounds very cool.
And of course, I want to do all of the actual plays. There's so many things. There are too many things. Steve, don't give me ideas.
That's what we're here for, right? We, like I said earlier, we inspire each other to do things that we will never be able to achieve because time.
Malicious inspiration.
I love that. I think that's really cool. The idea of updating your work as you go along with it. I think that's something that more people should do. you don't have to, but I think, you're a different person than you were 5 years ago, even 3 years ago. So if you change as a person, why would the work that you've done, why not give that an opportunity to grow as well? And I think the work that you've done with Overgrown 2 is a testament to that, to not just who you've become as a person, but also how the system has evolved. Like you mentioned, with stuff like, just the simple thing as using mythical animals is something that you didn't consider or didn't have in the first one. To use that now is really cool. And just to see, I'm very excited to see how Cybertopia 2E looks like, or whatever you choose to call it, really.
Yeah.
And also the idea of an SRD is excellent, because I was just thinking about how we could use the system for different things. To I don't like the word hack, but like how people hack systems and have their own different things. Yeah. But I think something like how Powered by the Apocalypse is like a thing, and then they have games under it. So something. I'm assuming that's what you meant. So
yeah, absolutely.
I think that's really cool, and I'm looking forward to that stuff, and of course actual plays. I think that's like the basis of my life at this moment. Like, put me in all the games, have me play silly little guys, even if it's a 5-minute cameo. I'm in. Give me the role. I'm here.
Yeah, I think it's one of those things. As a designer, you always got to choose between the new thing and fixing the old thing. And I don't care how thoroughly you play test your materials before you put it out there. You play a game, or you have a game out there for a few years, and you run it 100 more times, and you see other people running it, and you realize there's things you wanted to change or do differently, or things that you hadn't even considered that you suddenly like, oh yeah, no, that should be part of the actual rule set. And you should go back and update it and change it. And it doesn't have to be a big deal. It doesn't have to be a big like 2E version or anything, but you can make those little errata kind of changes and just have that be put out to the world to make the game better. And it doesn't have to be like a marketing exercise or anything. It can just be, I'm improving things.
I mean, that's the beauty of the digital age that we live in as well, is you can make those updates and just put a little note on and away you go, and it's still there available for people. Having said all that, I'm assuming if some huge giant publishing corporation is watching us right now, you are open to having money thrown at you to kind of send this big scale.
Oh yeah, no, yeah. Please give me all your money.
Just like to check, some people die on their principles. So
yeah, I mean, mostly it would be great to have a distribution partner to be able to get it like in shops worldwide. I'd love to have translations of it done and stuff. Like I've done this all off my own back, off my own money, and from the kindness of volunteers. And the getting it translated and getting it abroad is a task that you can't really do as a solo. So if anyone wants to help me out with that, give me a shout.
I will message you after this session. We can talk. Yeah.
Awesome.
But yes, so we are coming up on time. Unfortunately, it has been an hour. Last thoughts, Ben. What would you like to leave us with about yourself, about Overgrown, about anything else?
I love working with people. I love collaborating. If anybody wants to run this game and wants me to make character art for you, I will do it. If you're doing a stream, if you're doing a podcast, if you're even just doing your own game and you want to talk ideas, I love doing that. One of the things that I most love about collaborating with people on this game is weaving the system into their own settings. So like the one I did the other day with Crit Talkers, I created a session that was integrated into their world. So I was using aspects of their own lore and their own setting. I'll do that with you if you want me to. So please, anyone, just get in touch, because I enjoy just doing that for the fun of things.
Hell yeah. I don't think I have anything else to add to that could make it better. So I'm going to leave it at that. Thank you for joining us for the first episode of But Why? Not to be confused with But Why? And we'll leave that with that.
Thank you very much.
Go check out. Yeah, of course. This was great. I had
fun.
It's always fun to talk to people who are passionate about their things. Go check out Ben's book on itch and give him all your money and make sure that they are able to make more games for all of us in all the cool vibes.
All the links will be there.
Yeah, this is going to go out on Twitch soon, and it'll be on YouTube in a couple of days as well. And just all the good fun vibes. And here's hoping Overgrown 2E is a success and Cybertopia 2E is an even bigger success. That's all.
Thank you so much, man. This
yeah,
is,
Thanks
thank
very
you
much, Ben.
for joining us. Okay, I'm gonna stop. Bye.